Are there times when you really feel alone? You may even be in a building full of people, but you still feel alone. Or maybe you are in a situation where you are alone. What now? What do you do about that? Today's show is called Just Remember I Care. And the first thing I want to share with you is a very well-known poem. It's called The Footprints, or Footprints in the Sand. And I'm just going to go ahead and read it to you. It says, one night a man had a dream. He dreamed he was walking along the beach with the Lord. Across the colorful sky flashed scenes from his life. For each scene, he noticed two sets of footprints. One belonged to him, and the other to the Lord. When the last scene of his life flashed before him, he looked back at the footprints and noticed that many times along the path of his life, there was only one set of footprints. This really bothered him, and he questioned the Lord about it. Lord, you said that once I decided to believe in you, you'd walk with me all the way. But I have noticed that during the most troublesome times in my life, there is only one set of footprints. I don't understand why, when I needed you most, you would abandon me. The Lord said unto him, my precious, precious child, I love you and would never leave you. During your times of trials and tribulation, when you see only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. This is written by Mary Stevenson, and she lived between 1922 and 1999. When I think about this poem, this has got a really powerful message. How many times do you really feel like you're alone? That no matter what you do, you're on your own. The loneliness can add to things like depression. It can add to, just that feeling that people are falling into a deep, deep, dark hole, and no one would even care if they left this earth. But I want to talk to you about, and this is what I think the Footprints in the Sand is a powerful poem, because it's talking about the idea that yes, God has promised to walk with us step by step. And I've said in many of the other shows, walk with us moment by moment by moment. And I need you to believe that. You may have had an experience with God that you feel like He's not with you. But whether He is walking beside you step by step by step, holding your hand, or like the poem says, He's carrying you. What a great promise. What a great assurance that God is there. I mean, when I think of the masses of people that are on this earth, and He takes care of every one of us, He knows every one of us. He knows all the things that we're dealing with. That's amazing. That blows my mind. And I love the poem about the fact that in this person's point of trouble, where they might have felt alone, in turmoil, something was amiss in their situation, God was carrying them. He was actually taking them over that rough spot into what He wanted for them, what He wanted them to take the next step. And I want to go into a very powerful verse, and I love this. And I'm reading from the translation, The Message. And it's in Psalms 139, and I'm going to read verses 1 through 16. And it says this, God, investigate my life. Get all the facts firsthand. I'm an open book to you. Even from a distance, you know what I'm thinking. You know when I leave and when I get back. I'm never out of your sight. You know everything I'm going to say before I start the first sentence. I look behind me, and you're there. Then up ahead, and you're there too. Your reassuring presence coming and going. This is too much, too wonderful. I can't take it all in. Is there any place I can go to avoid your spirit, to be out of your sight? If I climb to the sky, you're there. If I go underground, you're there. If I flew on morning's wings to the far western horizon, you'd find me in a minute. You're already there waiting. Then I said to myself, oh, He even sees me in the dark. At night, I'm immersed in the light. It's a fact. Darkness isn't dark to you. Night and day, darkness and light, they're all the same to you. Oh yes, you shaped me first inside, then out. You formed me in my mother's womb. I thank you, high God, you're breathtaking. Body and soul, I am marvelously made. I worship in adoration. What a creation. You know me inside and out, and you know every bone in my body. You know exactly how I was made, bit by bit. How I was sculpted from nothing to something. Like an open book, you watched me grow from conception to birth. All the stages of my life were spread out before you. The days of my life all prepared, before I'd even lived one day. When I think about Psalms 139, and that's just part of the chapter, this is such a powerful verse, especially if you are feeling alone. And I'm going to even go the next step, alone, depressed, feeling at the point where you want to give up on life because you feel like no one cares. I've told you before, this is your source of strength. This is where you can find the answers to what you're dealing with. And I want you to really think about this, because this whole passage is talking about no matter where you go, no matter what you do, and this could be a scary thing, no matter what you do, God is there and He is watching you. He sees what you are doing. He knows what you are thinking. He knows what you are contemplating. That's how powerful God He is. He made you from the very beginning. He knows not only what you're thinking, but every cell, every molecule in your body. He knows you. Now, what I said, it could be a scary thing, that God knows you that much, is the fact that if you're doing something wrong, guess who's going to catch you? We used to do this thing with our son when he was really young. Actually, he's 23 now, but I still kind of bug him once in a while. We used to say, you know what, if you do that, God's going to tell me. You might lie to me. I may not know really what you're doing at the time, but I said, somewhere down the road, God's going to let me know that you did something you weren't supposed to do. And his eyes would get really big and he'd go, really, Mom, you're kidding. I said, no. God knows everything. He sees everything that you do. He knows every thought, even every impure thought. He knows it. You know, this is an amazing thing that God knows that much about you. So when you think about this, why worry about being alone? Because you are not. Truly, you are not alone. And I want you to understand that. But maybe you don't suffer from that particular problem. And I'm not saying that we don't all, one time in our life or another, have a point where we feel alone. Because we all do. You know, we can all feel like really, oh, this is just awful and I have no prospects and I can't move forward in my life. So you really feel almost to the point of desperation. But there are times, I don't know about you, but there are times that I want to be alone. I want to have that time to just focus on me, to focus on what God has for my life and what goals He wants for me. And remember, I've said before many, many, many times, we only have this one moment. Make it a good one. Whether it is a moment of contentment, even if it's a loneliness like we're talking about today, the loneliness doesn't have to be overwhelming. Be aware of thinking about where you're going, what you're going to be doing. And do you want to stay in that loneliness? Or do you want to move through it?